Hello, welcome back to MCERC's YouTube channel, Ask a Scientist. My name is Sierra, and today I am revisiting one of the curiosity calls, and it is the quicksand experiment. I wanted to revisit that and do a little explanation about what's going on. Why does it work like that? What is the science behind it? Because that is the purpose of our channel, not just to give you fun information and fun things to do at home, but to explain mechanisms in life that exist that allow things like quicksand to be made out of cornstarch and water. So, with that being said, the mixture of cornstarch and water is an example of a suspension, which is just
a mixture of liquid and solid where the solid does not dissolve.
It is the cornstarch inside of water, and it's the same kind of idea with quicksand. It's the sand inside water. Quicksand is called a non-Newtonian fluid. What does that mean? A non-Newtonian fluid is something that can act as either a solid or a liquid. Now, whether it acts as a solid or a liquid depends on the pressure that is applied. So when we put our hands and our fingers on the surface of the quicksand that we made, our fingers would slowly go into the liquid. And that's because there wasn't a lot of force. It was just a slow sink. And so when we tried to forcefully pull out our fingers, the quicksand all of a sudden stopped acting like a liquid as it was before and acted like a solid. It was almost as if our fingers wouldn't come out. And that's just because of the forceful pressure that we were applying. So why does this happen? If you look at quicksand and our example of the cornstarch in the water, the liquid is water, obviously, and it is oversaturated in the mixture, which means that there is too much of it and it doesn't have anywhere else to go. And the other substance, that we have in the mixture, which is sand or cornstarch, is a solid, but they are very fine particles. And in this mixture, you get to move it around and it acts as a liquid because everything is just smooth. There's no pressures acting on it to where the molecules have to tighten. And this is what happens when you do apply pressure or force. The reason why this happens is a little bit confusing to explain, and it's a little bit confusing to grasp. A lot of things that I personally struggled with in biology and chemistry and science throughout my educational career is that a lot of science, particularly molecular biology and chemistry, you can't see. It's just so small and it happens at such a fine scale. You kind of just have to believe it happens. There's proof, absolutely proof that these processes happen, but I learn a lot by seeing things and seeing the process of things. So when molecules are interacting at such a small level that we cannot see with our regular human eyes, just observing something, it's hard for me to understand. And that kind of is what happens with quicksand. So the force will trap water between starch chains. And this forms a semi-rigid structure, which is why when you pull your hand out, you can tell there's a little bit of resistance there, like it's not completely solid, but it's not a liquid. That's the best way that I could explain kind of what's going on, and I hope that that makes sense, and I hope that that's interesting. Also important for this experiment is to explain viscosity. Viscosity is the measurable thickness or resistance that is in a liquid that you kind of observe when it flows. So, for example, water is really loose, it flows very freely, slips right off. But if you think about something like honey or molasses or syrup for your pancakes, those have a higher viscosity. It just means that they're a lot thicker and they don't flow very well. Their molecules are a little bit tighter together, holding the form of the fluid a lot better. Now, when you take something like honey or syrup for your pancakes and you heat it, those can become a lot more like water, and they'll become a lot more free-flowing because their molecules are heated up, they're moving a lot faster, and it just allows for them to be more flexible and move more. And this correlation between heat and viscosity of a liquid was brought by Sir Isaac Newton. And so because quicksand does not follow that, it acts as a liquid or a solid, and its viscosity isn't dependent on temperature, it's dependent on pressure. It is thus called a non-Newtonian fluid. Anyways, that's pretty much the gist of everything going on within this experiment. If you have any other questions that I may not have addressed, please comment down below. I'll happily either do some research or answer those to the best of my ability, or refer you to other sites that have great information. But I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope everything makes sense. One of my favorite things about these experiments is just being able to manipulate the life that we're given and see these really cool things happen and understand them and come to appreciate them and all the cool things that we can do. So if there's any experiments you may want to see us do, please comment those below also. Otherwise, thank you for tuning in, and I hope you all return for our video next week. Thank you.